So my name is Lars Dörfler without the L. I am the country manager for the region Germany, Austria, and Switzerland for all of the products that you come across with respect to facades and windows, for ventilation, sun protection, and also for design facades. I've been in this company for 22 years now, and well, I do really live this Renson world for more than 2 decades. I actually thought about what am I going to present to you today? Should it be Renson products? Perhaps you would have to use up your vacation because the time slot is much too scarce, which is why I rather wanted to concentrate on what we really are standing for. Renson is a family-owned business, a Belgian family-owned business. Internationally, we are acting in the fourth generation with products regarding ventilation, sun protection, and outdoor living. We are focusing and concentrating on innovative new developments, some trends that we were able to recognize at an early stage that provide solutions in order to give you all a healthy indoor climate. Today, I would like to invite you on a short trip in the Renson universe. And first of all, I would like to show you a little bit more about the Renson DNA because this is also what we are standing for, what is characteristic for us, and what is also part of the message that we like to convey with our products. And this can be explained best in that I describe why we do what we do. And as with every good story, the story starts with this famous introduction, Once Upon a Time. People used to live outdoors, living in and with nature, under the free sky, enjoying the sun, the water, and the wind. Being outdoors is part of our genes because we still feel much better when we are outdoors, be that at the beach, in the mountains, in the forest, on our terrace, or perhaps somewhere out in the fields. Being outside gives us a feeling of well being and of freedom. Being outdoors is activating all of our senses. Yet today, 90% of our time we spend indoors in our flats and apartments, in offices and hospitals, in care homes, in schools and universities, in cars and buses and trains and airplanes. We have somehow changed to an indoor person. However, we still have the same demands of those people who lived outdoors. The demand for fresh air, for an atmosphere in which you can relax, with the right temperature, with the right light, in order to feel cozy and comfortable and protected. Well, it's quite obvious that we spend 90% of our times indoors, and still people have this need always in a connection, to stay in a connection with the outer world. We see that also expressed in today's architecture. We are also working with big window openings. We also tend to use much more glass in modern architecture just to really produce this bridge to the outer world. But of course, all of that entails a couple of problems. Nowadays, a facade or a window has a much different meaning than 40, 50, or 60 years ago. So it is not only an element for people to look outside, but it's also a technical element because things are perpetually changing. The climate is changing, all of the circumstances are changing, our life circumstances are changing, and this is what we need to take into account as well. Due to the climate change, the temperatures have risen. We feel what it means to be exposed to the sun. We have high concentrations of CO2 in our buildings. We need to work with less oxygen while all of the detrimental substances are increasingly present. We got much better in isolating and insulating our walls, our floors, our rooftops. This is good for energy saving, but not so good for our health. And what about our gardens and terraces? What about our connection with the outside world that we would like to use to the best potential possible? To live with nature that should be in line with our experiences indoors. The situation is quite clear again. I also think that you don't need to talk too much about it because this is something that we are confronted with every single day, be that in the planning phase, be that in the implementation phase. You have all of the requirements that need to be fulfilled. They are also, of course, stipulated by mandatory provisions and laws. On the other hand, you have the requirements that you would like to fulfill because of your customers' desires and wishes. And not least, the requirements that we are facing today, also because of our life circumstances that have changed, that we have clearly seen in the past 2 years due to the COVID pandemic. This is something that really sort of bound us to the interior. So we spend much less time outside, and that's a huge topic. So, to some extent, we have to use this wonderful opening. We have to master it and manage it in the best possible way to supply fresh air to the interior and to also provide for a comfortable atmosphere and ambience. So, we are facing many challenges, particularly for architects. These challenges are very hard to manage. Of course, you want to provide a specific design, and in spite of all that, we also need to take into account all of these other aspects. And this is something that we are focusing on, where we are discussing and cooperating closely with the planners, with the architects, with specialized associations in order to make them feasible, do it in an energy saving, sustainable way, although this word sustainability is really used a lot. We still need to focus on that because at the end of the day, all of that needs to be in line with technical requirements without without omitting and forgetting about the health aspects. Schools are a specific topic. We are focusing on that with a healthy school concept that we've developed. You can see that one of the main points here is managing the temperature, managing the sun exposure, ventilation, of course, as well. So here we do have some areas where we are using the facade, and that's quite interesting because if you look at the pictures, you might be asking yourself, where exactly are the Renson products? Well, I can tell you, you don't see them because they are so nicely integrated in the facades that they can hardly be seen. Here, for instance, when we talk about night cooling, they can be wonderfully integrated in the facades. Here you can see this cutout with special grids, RC2 standard and RC2 certified. What is that? That's the wrong picture. Sorry. Somehow, this was my predecessor's presentation. What happened? Okay, just a second. Lars, we will be ready in a minute. Just stay on your presenter and don't push any other button, but I think we will somehow actually get that straight. Okay, so this gives me time, right? Okay, I'm not gonna touch anything from now on, okay? Okay, so here in those areas, we have some elements that are integrated into the facade. You're opening the building to the outside. You get a lot of fresh air at night. You can cool down the building at night, so you're really using the thermal mass. And over the day, here, for instance, you can arrange for the according shading. Then we have recovery devices that are responsible for up to 80% of heat recovery, and that might also provide some bypass solutions that are here for the night cooling. It is also well known that, particularly in the healthcare area, the climate in the interior is one of the main points when it comes to helping people recover and heal, when it comes to aging processes, that people get well much faster, that they do not age that quickly. exactly. And again, in this segment, we are also working with the same technologies, meaning that we are providing for ventilation, for night cooling. During the day, we have basic ventilation, at the same time, shading that is needed. Again, we also have that in private homes, private accommodations, outdoor living is part of it. So here we are sort of expanding the living room by providing the right products that are suitable for the customers and that are making available an extended living room. What we've learned in the past 2 years, particularly in the area of outdoor living, is that the market has really strongly grown because people no longer traveled. They try to produce this feeling and generate this feeling that they usually have during their vacation. They were using terraces and balconies much more, also due to flats that get smaller and smaller by the day. They tried to extend their living rooms, their living spaces to the outside. But again, you have to look at the aspects and exterior influences. What is decisive, and this is something that you can see in all of my pictures, is that somehow the products are hardly visible. Here, the same thing again. You can hardly see the solutions that we have integrated. They are so dominant because they are integrated. Here, another example with the screen solutions, and for the first time, you can see what Renson is actually doing. All the solutions that we are developing are always based on the same principles, meaning that we look into the construction physics. This means that we do not try to cool, we try to use the thermal circumstances. We try to use thermal mass, we try to use the targeted shading, and all of that at the end of the day produces a healthy ventilation. Here I give you some insight, for instance, regarding a solution that we are integrating into residential buildings. Here we have some elements, for instance, for noise isolation up to 40 dB. They are here for an extraction that's targeted, is only working wherever this is necessary, which means that there is a constant analysis and measuring what the air quality is like. And this extraction only takes place wherever this is necessary. And this again shows the transition to the outdoor living area, an area where you have this extended living space. And here again, we are providing shading. With all of my slides, you will see some product introductions, product specifications. I do not want to bore you with that here and now, but this presentation is available and you can find all of the products that we have used. And I can tell you one thing, and I can promise you one thing, that going forward, we will certainly go this path, pursue this path, this journey further, and that we will take all of our endeavors to be true to our motto, creating healthy spaces. Well, Ollie, I think I was much faster than you thought, and I am certainly a record keeper because I don't have that many slides. And I hope that it made you a bit more curious about us as a company. As I said, we are represented in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland with 20 staff members. We are very strong when it comes to advising architects. Of course, we can support you when it comes to the planning phases, particularly during the early phases when it is about getting an idea. For us, it is relatively difficult if, for instance, we offer or if we have a product presentation. As a rule, this will not necessarily be suitable for your specific project. What we believe is important is to see what exactly we want to achieve, and then we try to find the right products that would actually be appropriate to your requirements. Of course, looking at the energetic questions and your final targets.